true seekers, good people of the world. Welcome back. Today I want to talk about Chris Paul and his criticism of the female ref last night because I think this is another important example of showing how this web of unnecessary stories is carried out against us on a daily basis, even in basketball games. And I think a lot of people who come across my channel probably do not understand why I cover so many different topics and apply these same skills to so many topics. But the reason why is because I truly think from this research and also just from living in this world and witnessing it, that the same people really are carrying out everything against us, from the basketball leagues to the movies to the politicians to the news we get. And in doing this research, I think I have proven that what I've been seeing all this time to be correct. I mean, just look here at YouTube at the video samples we have from last night to look at on this controversy. They're already up. This just happened yesterday. From Basketball Nation, we have a 33-second clip of Chris Paul talking about the referee. Also from Basketball Nation, we have a 3-minute and 22-second clip. If you pay attention to this kind of stuff, True Seeker, you're going to see a lot of it. It's because these people are really doing this. They're controlling our information. They're coding their numbers on top of it all the time. I'm going to show you how much deeper it is than just the lengths of these videos. We'll come back and watch some of these videos, but just check this out. Here's an article on the topic. The referee in question is Lauren Holtkamp. And so often when I see K's in names where C's should be, it's just a dead giveaway that this person's associated with this group, this thing that I'm exposing. I suspect that Lauren Holtkamp is the daughter of one of these Zionists or someone related to this game. Look at her name, Lauren, gematria of 26, Holtkamp, gematria of 33. And this happened in a game between the Clippers and the Cavs. Why is that interesting? Because both of these teams were established 44 years ago, 1970. And that season, 3 teams were established. The Portland Trail Blazers, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Buffalo Braves, which are now the Los Angeles Clippers. The Buffalo Braves have become the Los Angeles Clippers. I recently did a post on Chris Paul, his curious grandfather's death, the story surrounding that, and a whole bunch more. In that post, I tried to show what it is for these people to become superstars. I don't think it's the narrative that we're told out here in the mainstream. I don't think it's because Chris Paul's one of the best basketball players. He is a great basketball player, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of really good basketball players in this world. Chris Paul gets to be a star, I think, because he essentially agreed to have his father murdered, or his grandfather, excuse me. And it's not just him. It's a lot of people. And the reason I think they have them do this is because they know they're down for the cause, essentially. Hey, if you're willing to let us kill your grandfather to become a part of our plot, then we know you'll allow us to do some other things, like possibly subject you to, media headlines like this just for making some simple remarks about a female referee. Here, let's watch the interview.
It's picked up a lot of technicals at the end. Doc has talked to you about that. Was that a problem that you saw?
But I think that just made it look worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think we got to show better composure, but at the same time, some of them was ridiculous. Like, the tech that I got right there was ridiculous. I don't care what nobody say. I don't care what she say. That's terrible.
Yeah.
There's no way that can be a tech. We try to get the ball out fast every time down the court.
Yeah.
And when we did that, she said, and I said, why, and she gave me a tech.
Okay.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then this might not be for her.
So, True Seeker, as you can see, I mean, his remarks aren't even that big, but the media headlines are huge. They're all over the place. Like I just showed on YouTube, there's all these videos made, in record time. ESPN's First Take, they dedicated the main majority of the show today to talk about this topic. Why do they do this? Because they're programming us this way. This is another divisive issue. This is men versus women. Think about the Super Bowl ads we just got with all the domestic abuse. The reason the NFL is doing that is because the NFL is the high holy day for domestic abuse in this nation. It's been that way for decades, since before I was born. On that day, supposedly the most women get beat by their husbands and men they're close to. And why is that? Because men are drinking and men are getting angry over a rigged football game that's meant to provoke them. That's why the games are designed in the way they are. That's why the Seahawks fans just got to watch their team dominate all season and then do a once-in-a-lifetime play at the goal line that they haven't called all season for a miracle interception. And making matters more worse, the player who intercepted the ball even admitted that he hadn't played on the goal line all season. In the one situation, I mean, we're talking about the Super Bowl. What it all comes down to, are you kidding me, that Bill Belichick didn't call a timeout and get his right team for the goal line? He kept players on there that had never been on the goal line all season. For anyone going, well, he made the right call, they intercepted the ball, you're not getting it. It's because it's a joke. That was Russell Wilson's 21st pass of the game. It was number 21 who intercepted it. On February 1st, 2-1. A lot like 21. The games are rigged by numerology, what I've been trying to expose all season. And these hoaxes, including Chris Paul, and I shouldn't just say hoax because, I mean, his grandfather probably really did die. That wasn't a hoax, but it was also done according to numerology. The high school has a gematria of 61. The grandfather died at 61. Chris Paul scored 61 points in the tribute. So anyway, last year, from this same team, Chris Paul plays for the Los Angeles Clippers. Last year, this team had the biggest scandal in the NBA. The Zionist Jew owner of the team, Donald Tokowitz, who changed his name to Donald Sterling like all these Zionist Jews do, so their names don't sound so Zionisty. I mean, people have to wake up. What I'm saying right now isn't racist or bad or anything if you're thinking that. We have to wake up and look at what's going on. These people run the world. These people are liars. These people are legitimately the synagogue of Satan, and they sit in high places because of their lies, and they laugh at us. Like this whole thing with him stepping down, the reason they use this man for this story is not because he did anything racist. It's because his time was over. His cycle of 33 years was over. He was the longest tenured owner in the league at 33 seasons. This isn't a joke. Look at all the world leaders who stepped down after 33 years, including Bill Gates. Bill Gates with Pythagorean gematria. Here, let's just do it together if you've never done this before. B is the second letter. I is the ninth. L is the 12th, but instead of 12, it's 1 plus 2 equals 3. L is 3 again. G is 7. A is 1. T is 20. 2 plus 0 is 2. E is 5. S is 19. 1 plus 9 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. Add this name up. Bill Gates sums to 33. 33 is often paired with 47. Melinda Gates, can you guess what her number is? Yes, it's 47. Seattle and Bellevue, where he reigns out of, is on the 47th parallel. He stepped down from head of Microsoft after 33 years. Leader of Yemen recently stepped down after 33 years. He was bombed last year on the 33rd day of the year, already after stepping down, along with Yemen's central bank and their Ministry of Defense. Just a few of many, many examples that go on over decades and centuries. This is a long pattern. The Zionists have been in power for a long time, and we're living at a moment where we're getting to see them come to their ultimate power. At this point in history, they now have the state of Israel, a Zionist state that shouldn't exist. And they have leadership in every world government. They are one of the main components behind the New World Order. And they run everything from the movies to the sports leagues, that they laugh at us. What else is funny about this story, Truth Seeker, is that the whole time Donald Sterling's been the owner of the Clippers, they've been, at first he got them when they were in San Diego, then they came up to LA. The whole time they've been the running joke of the NBA, consistently one of the worst teams. And now that they've finally become good, they're good right now. They just became good recently. For the first time, now that they're good, they're going to lose their team. It's likely going back up to Seattle, where the new Bill Gates bought the team. Steve Ballmer, the new head of Microsoft. Also, I just want to point out that Donald Tokowitz, Donald Sterling, whatever you want to call him, his birthday was April 26th, the 116th day of the year. Flip it upside down, 911. These people have their positions of power in part because of their life numbers and date of birth. To these people, this is a very important number. He had it. So, within the NBA, also within the last year, this story was just as bad, if not worse, than the Donald Sterling story, but it didn't make as big of media headlines. The owner of the Atlanta Hawks, which are the best team in the NBA right now, made some racist remarks. And if you look at all the coding in the story, again, it's the number 33. You look at all the names, just 33 through and through. It's because these people are a real gang, a real mafia. Here, just another example. You remember the story of Jerry Sandusky molesting his players? At the time, I didn't know anything about numerology, gematria, but I just thought it was weird that if he's been doing this all this time for all these years, as it was reported, why is it just now coming out? You know? It's hard for me to believe that if this many boys have been molested over the years, that none have come out and spoken out. I mean, don't we have a mainstream media, a voice for these type of scandals? No, we do not. If you're saying, but Zach, the story came out, I'm laughing at you. I'm saying, yeah, it came out on their schedule when they do things. Perhaps Jerry Sandusky's time was up. Perhaps it's like the mafia and Jerry Sandusky did the wrong thing, so guess what? Now his little fetish story gets to get out. You know, the people who expose these stories, they don't care about any of this stuff. They don't care if Jerry Sandusky's molesting people. I guarantee you all the people who run the media molest all sorts of people. Hell, they molest us every day with their false news. These people have no code of ethics. These are the most disgusting people to have ever existed. All they do is put out stories for their divisiveness, to control us, to keep us arguing and babbling over nonsense. Penn State's also a Catholic school where this happened at, so it's yet more connections to the Catholics. And remember, it started out as a priest thing. Guess what? Priest sums to with Pythagorean gematria. 33. And a lot of this research, it traces back to the Catholic Church and religion. So much of this, Truth Seeker. Let's watch the TNT halftime show from when the Donald Turkowitz, Donald Sterling scandal broke. What I want to point out about this TNT crew is this is part of CNN. CNN is owned by Ted Turner. He also owns Turner Network Television. The word Turner sums to 33. The word Sprint sums to 33. The name O'Neill sums to 47. The name Barkley sums to 74. The name Kenny and Smith sum to 33. The name Ernie is 33. The name Johnson is 32. And it's not unique about this show, Truth Seeker. You don't code the names of the people we hear on TV. They all have this name gematria for the most part. 33, 47, 74. From Conan O'Brien to Katie Couric to these guys to, like I said, just about everyone else. These people are all well trained. They're born into it. It's not a coincidence. Shaquille O'Neal brags about being a Freemason. The year he was drafted, the NBA went out of their way to do special things for this draft. It was the first one outside of New York. It was in Oregon, the 33rd state. It was also held on a date with a numerology of 33. In that date, here's the order of the drafts, you guys. Boom. First one outside in Oregon, the 33rd state. Why? Because the NBA is a league focused on the number 33, just like the NFL, just like baseball, just like all of these leagues. Why? Because they're ran by the Freemasons, the Zionists. These are their principles. This is their code. Remember how I said 47 and 33 are always paired? Here you go. Mr. 47 himself with 33. This guy's been used to make music for them, movies for them, television for them, sports for them. He's even been an honorary sheriff. And here's a little Zionist right here. David Stern, a despicable human being. Just like all these Zionists. And the NBA is just full of this stuff, you guys. Kobe equals 33. Kobe Bryant equals 113. Just like Michael equals 33, Michael Jordan equals 113. Michael Jordan, who equals 113, unexpectedly retired on January 13th. Because the Zionists told him so. All of you who buy Jordan brand clothes and think you're supporting a black man, you're not. You're supporting Zionist Jews who use black men as puppets, who look at these sports trades and drafts as their modern slave trade. I guarantee it. These people are sick, and they got us celebrating their sickness. That's how they trick us. They trick us with the deception. They make it flashy. They make it fun. They don't see what they're really doing. Anyway, let's go back and watch this news. The day this happened, I was sitting in the living room with my girlfriend and my good friend, and I was a lot fresher into the 33 research. But right away, when the story broke, they were talking about it on mainstream news. They were talking about it on sports news. They made it a big issue, like they always do when they want to get the programming out. They wanted everybody to know about the Clippers' racist remarks. So let's just watch how it happened live going back once upon a time.
Barkley, Kenny Smith, and Shaquille O'Neal. Normally, we would break down this game in depth, but there is a developing story that we need to address. The NBA is investigating racist remarks allegedly made by LA Clippers owner Donald Sterling in a phone call with his girlfriend. It's an audio tape obtained by TMZ. In that conversation, the man...
TMZ, you guys, this used to be a joke news source. Now it's become like the breaker for everything that everyone talks about. It's no wonder we live in a fake world, right? All that matters is the fake news for the masses. Talking about real stuff like this, man, that'll get you called crazy.
And believed to be Sterling, takes issue with his girlfriend posting a picture of herself with Magic Johnson and posting it on Instagram saying, quote...
Again, I want to bring up more points. Magic Johnson became a major part of this story. Magic is a 33 word. His name, Irvin, spelled with that extra A, sums to 33. And Johnson is a 32 word, just like Ernie Johnson is 33, 32. So is Irvin Johnson, Magic Johnson's real name.
It bothers me a lot that you want to broadcast that you're associating with black people. Do you have to? He goes on to say, you can sleep with them, you can bring them in, you can do whatever you want. The little I ask is you not to promote it and not to bring them to my games. The NBA has issued this statement. We're in the process of conducting a full investigation into the audio recording obtained by TMZ. The remarks heard on the recordings are disturbing and offensive, but at this time we have no further information. Wow. Shaq, I'll give you the first crack at this.
You know, it's one thing to say something that's controversial, but it's another thing to say something that's very repugnant. The question is now, should this guy continue being an owner? That's the question.
See, the theme was there from the beginning, Truth Seeker. I mean, all these guys are part of the script. Right away, Shaq knew to bring this up. And that's what the whole thing was about, transitioning from one owner to the next. The new owner is now the new CEO of Microsoft. Recall that Seattle lost their team to Oklahoma City. Now they want a team back. They're likely going to get the Clippers eventually. They'll probably come back to be the Seattle Supersonics again. So anyway, let's continue. Remember, Shaq brags about being a Freemason. On this same program, he showed off his Masonic ring.
Should this guy continue being an owner? You know, everyone has their thoughts. You know, everyone has their opinions. But you know, when your opinions and your thoughts become public knowledge, the question is now what? And then another question is you know, will his team shut down on him? Will his team take these remarks personally and say, you know what?
Also, Truth Seeker, I want to bring up that point. I mean, we have to think about what kind of country we live in. If this guy made personal remarks that were racist, is that a reason for him to lose his whole livelihood and career if this is all legitimate? I mean, a lot of us make off-the-cuff remarks in our personal lives that we do not ever expect to be held accountable for. You know, that doesn't mean that they're right, but at the same time, we have to acknowledge that we do this. And we should ask ourselves, no matter who we are, is that a reason to lose what we do? I mean, honestly, if this guy's been making racist remarks, I'm surprised they didn't, I'm sure they didn't just start, you know, at his 33rd year of ownership. He's been an owner of one of these teams all this time. And if anything, this should just be an insight into how these men look at the things they oversee. They don't even think much of them, yet they do it. You know, it should make you wonder.
We don't want to play for a guy like this. I mean, so, you know, it's unfortunate situation, but I think the league needs to take a very long, hard look on whether this guy should continue being an owner or not.
You can read these statements over and over. You can read the story over and over, and you still cannot believe what you're reading.
Well, first of all, you can believe it, because this has happened before. He settled a lawsuit years ago. Obviously he owns a lot of land and things also, and he settled a lawsuit that said he was discriminating against blacks and Hispanics. So this is...
So, Trusik, I just want to point out something. Last night, in real time, this is going back to the past when this happened. Charles Barkley was on TV and he couldn't remember his own record amount of rebounds. He couldn't remember his own record amount of rebounds. But look, this is breaking news, and right off the cuff, supposedly Charles Barkley is able to recount this issue he had from the past. Here, I want to show you something, Truth Seeker. I want to see you just how bad this is here. Uh-oh. Slow internet. Okay. You guys can search my blog this same way. So this just happened last night. I just caught this story, right? Charles Barkley could not remember his career rebounds, so they looked it up for him, and guess what? It was 33. So then I just wanted to look it up because they didn't say the date. They just knew his career amount. So I wanted to look up when he got this record. He got the record on November 3rd. 113. This number we were just talking about, like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant equals 113. Doc Rivers equals 113. He's one of the first coaches to have his own son on his team. And on that night, he almost got to the record that was set on March 3rd on 3-3. And if you don't watch basketball, True Seeker, 33 rebounds is a ton. I mean, if you get 14 rebounds in a night, that's a lot of rebounds. To get 33, it's almost unheard of. And again, I said it's because the NBA is this 33 league fixed on numerology. And the point of me showing you this again is because last night it came up. Barkley made the point about how he doesn't have a good memory. Why would he remember that he had exactly 33 rebounds? But boom, here in this, just right off the cuff, ready to go, he remembers everything bad Donald Sterling did in the past.
It's habitual. This is the first test of Adam Silver. He's got to suspend him right now. First of all, they got to prove his voice on the tape. But this is the first big test from Adam Silver. You can't have this guy making statements like that. He has to suspend him and fine him.
This is the other thing, True Seeker. Adam Silver. This was the other big storyline. He is the new Zionist commissioner taking over for David Stern, and they made him a big hero out of this false story. See how this group of goon Zionists who just make up shit use it to catapult one of their own into a higher position? And I think, honestly, it works. I think in the general public who heard this story, they probably all like David Silver more for it, you know? And the story is really just a big joke put out there to create this. This is how our whole world operates, from the NBA to wars in Iraq. I mean, this is almost like the story of WMDs and weapons of mass destruction. A bunch of nonsense to further an agenda. And in this case, the agenda was to transition the team somewhere else, which we're in the process of. It now has an owner from Seattle. It will likely move to Seattle.
Immediately. He has to be suspended. You know, and the problem I have with it, if somebody want to be racist, that's all right. That's their thing. But when you're in a position of power and you can take jobs and economic opportunity from people, that's what crosses the line. But we cannot have an NBA owner discriminating against a league that we're a black league, Ernie. We are a black league. I don't know the number, but I'd probably say 80% of our players are black.
How do you take this as a player?
And that's just what Charles Barkley does too. Throws out statements out there to add more controversy. We are a black league. About 80% are black. Okay, that sounds like a black majority league. Is he saying the other 20% don't matter? You know, and Charles Barkley's always bragged about being a Republican. Remember, Republican equals 47. He's a 74. It's just because these guys are paid for agents. You know? They'll just say anything for money.
Well, that's a different animal there.
Yeah, I just think, firstly, that, racism is like a refuge for ignorance. And I think there's two things that we could take from it. And the first, I would say, is that, he's taking his primitive thought process and saying that, hey, I could work with you, or you could work for me, but I can't be associated with you. And, or I could, obviously, you could be my girlfriend, obviously, because she's
Black and
Mexican as well. So it's just a refuge for ignorance. I think it's more, for me, it's a teaching tool for the new generation. Because the new generation of players, new generation of I call it new educated, new wealth African Americans could take this as an educational standpoint and say, how do you deal with people like this who will still have this kind of Jim Crow thought process? And that's really where it has to go. But yes, he has to be suspended. And Magic Johnson came out and tweeted, said he'd never go to another Clipper game. I can totally understand that. And I can understand people who wouldn't support the Clippers at this point. Because he is the voice, and he's taken the ownership of a team a little bit too serious.
And I got to say this.
Ownership.
Ernie, let me say this first of all. I think it's unfair. This is a Donald Sterling thing. This is not a Clipper thing. We have to separate the two because, listen, Doc Rivers, Blake, Chris Paul, that's their team. He owns the team, but we're not thinking about who owns the team as a player. We don't care who owns the team.
But aren't you in this situation? So look at the guy who's signing our checks.
Yes.
Look what he has to say, and look how he feels about us. And that goes from Doc Rivers.
And I understand that, but the team, but the team can't say we're gonna shut down because our owner's a jackass.
I think the one
That's
thing
not fair to the players.
I think the one thing as a player, and this is why I'm saying a teaching tool is, you're a professional. And you have a craft that you had God-given, that you worked for. And you continue to do that craft to the best of your ability and knowledge. But when it comes time to re-sign with a team, that might be a team that you have second thoughts about playing with because of the type of
or if you're a player in the league thinking about free agency.
Because my whole thing is, I am a professional, and I put myself in this position, not Donald Sterling. So I have to perform to the greatest of my abilities. I have to coach at the greatest of my abilities. Now that I know what's on the other side of the fence, I know what to deal with in a later time.
Word is the Clippers have had a team meeting. No word on what exactly the result of that is. But they play tomorrow at Golden State. Do you make a message as a member of that Clipper team, or what is the reaction? What happens when you take the floor the next day?
You still have to go out and, do your job. Donald Sterling is one man, and I agree with Chuck, he owns the team, but, there's a lot more at stake. Fans going to be watching the game. You have a legitimate chance of winning a championship, and, sometimes you have to go through trials and tribulations to get to where you want to go. And, as a player, they should not let this discourage them or stop them from trying to win a championship.
And Ernie, listen, it's your team is your team. You're not worried about who owns it. But this is the first test for Adam Silver. He has to suspend this guy. He got to, because like I said, this is habitual. He's already had the lawsuit for discrimination that he settled. So clearly he was doing something wrong. But this is the first big test.
So anyway, you get the point, Truth Seeker. It's all political. It's really about moving the team. And why is this happening? Because he's in his 33rd year of ownership, the end of the cycle, time to move on to the next guy. Perhaps Steve Ballmer will be the owner of this team for the next 33 years. That remains to be seen. But this is truly what's going on. Using athletes to shape a cultural dialogue about whatever they want us to focus on for whatever reason. And it's usually presented to us in a hypocritical manner that just causes more angst, frustration, and division in society. And it's true from this to the Tiger Woods sex scandal. Remember that? I've talked about that and how all the women who came out have 33 names in Gematria, 33 life numbers. I don't even think there really was a scandal. I think it's just nonsense for us. O.J. Simpson, we talked about this. Murder Scene was a date with 33. Simpson's a name with 33 Gematria, plus a whole lot more. Nicole Simpson, Ron Goldman, the lawyers, all the same numbers we've been talking about, 33, 47, 74. Newsweek was established in the year 33. Newsweek equals 33. Pythagorean Gematria. Time with simple English Gematria equals 47. CNN, which made a killing off this, everything about CNN's 33. We live in a fake matrix of understanding. Why? Because there is a well-organized conspiracy controlling the information, coding it, even in the amount of seconds it's presented to us. All right, Truth Seeker, that's pretty much the extent of the message. Thank you for sitting through this rant. Until next time.